I'll just do it here.
So
You can explain as you go.
you bend over the first one. This is the piece that is going to go through the hole of the pot. Try to get it as much of a right angle as you can. Grasp the long piece and wrap it around your bonsai pliers, and that makes the first loop that holds it into the pot. Put it in the pot and estimate the width of your hole. Wrap it around your pliers again. Grasp it from the top. Bend your piece up. Cut it even. And basically, you have the butterfly right there. You just haven't determined how wide this is. So you grasp your pliers and make that loop you can make it wider for a bigger hole, or you could make it smaller for a smaller hole. And put it through the pot, turn it over this way. After you put your screen in
Sides?
the
You forgot one thing.
oval pot, estimate 3 sides. That's about how much wire you're going to need. You're going to need 2 of the long pieces. And then you're going to need a 5th wire. Alright, so you're going to estimate that you're right in the middle of your pot. You're going to grasp one end of the wire and turn a right angle. You're going to measure exactly the width of the space you need that wire to cross. You're going to bend it again.
Do you do it so that the wires are meeting the insides of the holes where they're going to be pulled toward each other?
I would put it, I'd probably end up putting it right here. And then bend them up so they're out of your way. Do the second one the same way. So you estimate your width. You grab the wire, bend it up. Estimate your width. Grab the wire, bend it up. Put it through your screen holes that are not in this pot but will be in your pot. Now, would you go grab your apple and bring it in here once? Unless there's a smaller one that's tipped. Is there a smaller slide tree? No, I think that's the only one. Just so I can demo one thing here. So touch on the big side. Yeah. We're going to cut those pieces. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if this were the tree, well, okay, first let me do this. Okay, so I've got my 4 wires, I need the extra wire. So you're just going to bend this extra wire and make an eye on the wire. Cut the extra piece off. And I, out of habit, just because this is how I learned from Kathy, the 5th wire always goes here, okay? What I learned from Boone is that when this tree is the tree I'm tying in that leans way over this way, the last tie is the tightest tie, which tightens up the whole complex. So if this were the tree that I am potting, I would want my 5th wire here, because I'm going to tie this one to here, this one to here, this one to here, and my last tie will be on the side that I need the tightest tie. So you want that on the side opposite of the lean. It really makes a difference. I didn't think it did at first, because it was hard for me to remember now, how do I get that wire on that side? But once I did it, it really, really makes a difference.
I just did 2 leaners too.
Grab this here. So I've checked the front of the pot. This is the side I've decided I want the front of the pot on. Here, front of the facing the front. Here's my tree root ball. So I'm taking the first wire, number 1, I'm putting it over the root ball to number 2. Turn it a couple of times. I right away cut the short wire off, which was the wire that came from here. And that's because as you're turning this, when you have trees, sometimes the wire gets in the way and hits the branches. And then the technique here is to grab this wire. I'm tightening this way so I have this coming to me. I'm grabbing the part that I twisted together. I'm tugging a little bit and I'm twisting. I'm working on twisting without dropping my pliers. Okay. And you're never going to tighten this first one much because you don't have anything holding it yet. All right. So you're going to come over here. You're going to go wire 2 to wire 3. And I'm also working on getting this one on the inside, so I'm always tightening in one direction, so I don't find that I have to tighten in opposite directions.
So do you stick pretty much with the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thing?
Right, right. And it's now facing toward you again. Now here you have some stability. So now we tighten the wire and tighten and then loosen your arm when you twist. Because if you don't with aluminum wire, you'll pop the wire.
Oh.
Because aluminum is not quite as strong. So if you were doing this with copper, it's different. So you tug and then let go of your hand as you tighten in.
That explains it.
Actually tighten, so you're not pulling on that.
You're not pulling while you're
tight. Yeah,
right.
while you're tight.
The other thing you want to worry about, you want to try for, is when you. Do I have an extra wire laying around here? You want that twist to be like this, okay? You don't want the twist to be like this.
You want it working its way up?
That one is going to bend because you're now twisting this wire and you're wrapping this one around, and here you're winding them together.
Exactly.
So that's pretty important with aluminum. So this is wire 2 going to wire 3. Twisting it a little bit, cutting off the extra of one of them. Now you're on your third spot. You're really starting to tighten this whole complex up. You pull and then release when you twist. Pull and release when you twist. This wire now goes to my 5th wire. This is when the whole complex tightens up. You twist these two together right in the middle. Get them started. This one I cut both of them off. Once I've got the twist together, grasp this, and this is where it becomes really important, because if you're going to break it, this is the spot. Okay, so be sure that these are coming like a V, and you have your fingers positioned here, and you're kind of helping to create that V. All right, and here you pull, release, and tighten. Pull, release, and tighten. Pull, release, and tighten. Go one more. And that tree is in that pile. And you're pressing this tree down, and when you're pulling that wire, you're not moving the position of the tree, like when they're both coming out of the center hole and they're going around the root ball. And
Yeah.
It just does not. It's not. Yeah, by using not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's best when you make the mistake. Have an extra wire that I cut before. Okay, so I'm going to go through the holes first. It's a little easier when you don't have screen. When you have screen, and you got to find the hole that fits. Okay, now you make this a 4-hole pot by taking a chopstick, cutting it just short of the width of the bottom of the pot. And you might have to get closer to kind of watch this, but you basically wrap the wire around the chopstick. Sometimes you have to lift the chopstick up a little bit in order to get it around. So you're putting the wire in the spot where you want it to make a 4-hole tie. And it's always best if you can pull off a 4-hole tie, because that tree is going to be in there way more securely. Oops, missed. And lifting that chopstick to get it underneath us. So you have the wire now in the spot if you had a 4-hole.
That's genius.
And then you do the same tie in exactly the same way.
That's awesome.
It really helps with a 2-hole pot because you can get a nice solid tie-in. With a 1-hole pot, it's even harder. This is a little different. I'll show you how you do this one. I'm not going to go through the whole tie in here, so it doesn't really matter the length of that wire is. So this one, you only have 1 hole to use. You have to be sure that this wire is a pretty hefty wire. Boone makes this little thing he calls Little Man with No Legs. No arms. The Little Man with No Arms, he calls it. I'll show you. So he makes a deal where you make Little Man with no arms. There's head of Little Man. Little Man with no arms. And he puts that across, and then he ties to the Little Man with no arms. But I just, when I put this in, I just put a heavier piece of wire in. And
You're a little man with 2 heads.
so your wires go over your screen retention wire. So you have 4 wires. You have crisscrossing chopsticks in this case. So you do the same exact thing you did with the other one. Wire 1. Wire 2. Crisscross. 3 and 4. So you have a 1-hole pot that you make into a 4-hole pot. Now, certainly when you tighten this kind of a deal, you just got to realize that you've used chopsticks now. I have found that the cheaper pine, the ones that are out of just wood, those aren't as strong. The bamboo ones, that aren't that much more expensive, $1 maybe for a big huge bag. They're just a little bit stronger, so they just are you can tug a little bit more. But, it's definitely loose. You also have to remember that when you repot this tree, well, you don't have to remember it. You're going to find out when you take it out and you look at the bottom of the pot, you got this wood in here, and you got to remember, I can't pull these wires out because they're attached to this chopstick at the bottom of the pot.
Okay. So when you
Until my wire was set.
Okay.
because I had a
Vertical height,
Yep.
essentially.
Yep.
That is.
This is what I meant about positioning it. So I pulled and I made this one go in a little before I wrapped it because I didn't want the tie way out here because I'll miss all the roots back here if I did. So I kind of pulled that first wire in before I wrapped it. Did you follow what I mean?
Yes.
This first wire, I just pulled it in this way. So now when I pull it, that wire is going to come across here. And when you have a really nice tree like this with all these branches, it's way harder. Okay, now this one's going to go in the middle. And we're going to do the same thing here. Maybe I don't think I'm going to have enough of this. Noodles is a good place to get these. You can always leave with a
They
few
don't.
extra.
They don't monitor. It's a serve yourself.
Are they the bamboo kind?
Yeah.
Oh.
Noodles is
So we're going to
Think so.
noodles for dinner?
I guess we're going to do.
Chopsticks.
and,
Yeah.
and lunch and
Yeah,
breakfast.
right.
Sign up. Sign up for their email club. Really, you always get buy one get ones. You get a free one on your birthday, and you get a buy one get one on your anniversary the day you sign up. So space that out. Sign up 6 months away from your birthday. Because otherwise they're expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, very. That's
Yeah.
the only reason we don't go.
Right. Now,
All noodles?